Okay, this is more graphing review. This is the tangent. Now, when you graph the tangent, that's not absolute value. Excuse me. That's parentheses. Excuse me. There you go. Okay, when you graph the tangent, you kind of want to remember that your normal tangent, just y equals tan of x, has a period of pi. So it's actually pi over b gives you your period. So this is pi over 2 minus pi over 2. And your 0 is in the center. And you got your asymptotes going up here like these on these pi over 2s. So you want to know that basic move, because when we shift it around, we just move everything over. We just move the 0 over. And it's going to go uphill. So it looks something like this. See, when you do these more complicated ones, you have to have a good knowledge of that. Okay, so here my amplitude is 2. I'm sorry, I got to factor this out, excuse me. So take the 2 out, and I've got x minus pi over 2 plus 1. Okay. And that's going to be 2x, and then the 2's cancel. I got negative pi, so that's good. So my amplitude is 2. My period is equal to pi over b, or pi over 2 now. That's easy. Okay, I got a shift. Same idea, opposite sign, pi over 2. And I got a vertical shift of 1. Okay. So the period is going to be pi over 2, so let's take a look at the shift first. So let's call these pi over 2 like this. So this is what it normally looks like, and my 0 is here, and my asymptotes are here for tangent, okay? But I have a shift of pi over 2 to the right, so now my 0 is going to be shifted over here, so this would be what my new 0 is going to be over here, all right? And then the asymptotes would go like this if it was originally still pi, but the period's also changed to pi over 2, so now instead of going out pi over 2 in each direction, I'm only going to just go out half of that. Okay, so I'm only going to go out to here, pi over 4 in each direction. So this takes care of the shift, moving the 0 over pi over 2, and the asymptotes normally would be here, but since the period's smaller, they're going to be like halfway. So that'd be pi over 4. Okay, so those are where the asymptotes go. And then I also have a vertical shift of 1, so I'm going to move this point up here. So that's going to be my 0 is going to be at 1. So that's basically what all this is going to be doing. And it's a little bit, you have to kind of think about this. So again, my 0 goes from over here. It's shifted pi over 2 to the right. And the asymptotes come up with it. So they'd be normally like this, except I've changed the period from pi, that's pi over 2 in each direction, to pi over 2, so that'd be pi over 4 in each direction. Then we have to draw our asymptotes. So this one's going to be like this. Okay, so that's kind of the structure or the setup for this whole shift, and that's the horizontal shift, vertical shift, and period change. Well, that's the horizontal shift and the period change. Now the vertical shift, this is going to be 1. So So these intermediate points now, these are usually your pi over 4, which goes up 1. But since I've got an amplitude change of 2, these are going to go up 2. So here I usually go over 1/4, and I go up normally 1, but now I'm going to go up 2, so I'm going to have a point up here. Now you could check that by putting this point in, because if this is pi over 2, all right, this would be pi over 4. And this would be 3 pi over 4. Okay, because of the period, it's just going to be pi over 2. All right? Then this point over here would be right between pi over 2 and 3 pi over 4. Okay, and I can put that value in and see what I get. All right? So this is going to be I have to do my increments by pi over 8 now, because this would be pi over 8, 2 pi over 8, 3 pi over 8, 4 pi over 8, 5 pi over 8. So this would be 5 pi over 8. Let me put 5 pi over 8 in here. If I put 5 pi over 8, I get 10 pi over 8. 2 times 5 is 10 pi over 8. Okay, which is 5 pi over 4. And if I take 5 pi over 4 and subtract pi, I get pi over 4. What's a tangent of pi over 4? 1. What's 2 times 1? 2, plus 1 is 3, so there we go. So that's kind of how you can figure it out. All right. And the same respect, this is going to be back the other way, and this will be down 2. So those are my key points. And I know that's kind of 1, 2. So it stretches it a little bit. Okay, so that's what you got. So there's your curve. So it's going to look like this. So it's going to hug the asymptotes. It's going to be real skinny. It's going to go uphill. Oops, sorry about that. Oh, dang it. It's going to go like this up to this point. I should write that in a different color, because not this one. Okay, so it goes through these points here. These are your key points here. This one here, and this one down here. Not that. That's before the shift. So that's about what it looks like. So try to make sure you can figure out all this stuff. It's got this. These are real complicated. Okay. So there's your vertical shift, or your vertical stretch. Actually, it's a vertical stretch. Okay. And then here's your horizontal shift, pi over 2, and there's your period change. So there you go. And there's that, like I said, that's your amplitude, which is like a stretch. Okay? So that was pretty challenging.